Hello, hello, hello. Good evening to you. Oh my God, it feels like forever since I have done this because it has been forever. Good evening, y'all. I am Tara Stidham. I am the owner of She Dates Savvy, and we are here with another She Dates Savvy presents a Savvy conversation. And for those of you who are new to me, who are just finding out about me, I know I have a lot of new friends on Facebook, a lot of new friends on Instagram. I am the owner of She Dates Savvy. I started my company because I met my good husband online, and I know that there are a lot of single, savvy professional women out there who have trouble finding guys online. And so I created a whole business to help you do just that. Now, but I also love talking about love, dating, and relationships. And tonight, I am digging in to talk about a really, really good show that for the last 2 seasons was based right here in my hometown. And I am going to be talking with my special guest, Miss Alexis Fly Jones, about her experience on OWN's Ready to Love. So if you are ready for all the tea, right? Like all the tea of reality, as well as her experience on the show. We're going to find out, has she found love? We're going to find out what made her find love on a TV show. So I want to welcome her to the show, and do me a favor, be sure to hit share so your friends can see this, so that they can join us and be a part of this broadcast as well. So without any further ado, very much so like the church introduction, right? Without any further ado, bring it to the stage, Miss Alexis Fly Jones.
Hey, Tara.
Hey, baby. Of course, my son ran in immediately.
Hey, I'm completely used to
the
that.
little, he comes running in. That's your happy. Of course, he runs in as soon as. Yes, thank you. Go show
That's
your
what they do, right?
You know, this is real life, right? This is
real life right here. This is real.
This is reality.
This is
reality. Is my reality, for sure, for sure, for sure. Welcome to the show, Alexis. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Tara. Thank you for having me tonight. It's exciting. I was cracking up with the introduction. I love that because you was like with the church, without further ado. And
without any further ado.
That.
Very, very much so. So yes, I am excited that you, first of all, agreed to come and talk to me this evening. And I really, first of all, before we even get into any of it, let the people know who you are. Of course, we know your name, Alexis Fly Jones, but let them know who you are, what you do. Basically, let them know your pedigree, baby. Let them know.
She said, let them know your pedigree. Well, my name is Alexis Jones, affectionately known as Alexis Fly. I am a TV producer, and I am a mother of a very loving, handsome, miracle child named Jed. And I say miracle because I don't think I really shared a lot that my son is, I was not supposed to be able to bear children. And so he is really a blessing in my life, and I love him so much. And what else? I've done a lot of things. I used to be a publicist initially a long time ago, and that opened the door for me to go into the field of TV production. I actually had my degree in mass media arts. My concentration was public relations. Didn't know anything about television. And I created a vision board one year, actually 2012. And I put on there a lot of things. And one of the things that I said that I wanted to do was get into television. I went on a Daniel fast for 21 days. I also put on there that I wanted to get married and engaged. And literally everything on that vision board after I really fasted and prayed came to pass. And I ended up in television. One day I was calling them to pitch something for a client, and they said, hey, we have an associate producer / audience coordinator position.
Wow.
Would you be interested? Yeah. So my testimony to people is, if you have a dream or a goal, and even if you don't necessarily have the resume, if you have the favor, baby, all kind of doors can be open.
Listen.
So.
Oh my God, I love that. And so look, I'm going to show you this real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, please do.
Because I am a vision board girl. Like,
yes, the good word says, write the vision, make it
come
plain.
on, and make it real plain, right?
There's something about when you actually write something down that you really want or desire, not saying that it's magical, but you seeing it for yourself, working towards it and putting the faith, you can just see things begin to manifest. And that's really I was speaking last weekend on a panel about that. Like people were asking me, how do you finance the things that you do? And my start of it is actually writing it down and then opening my mouth, about the things that I want to happen in my life. And it just happens.
That is so very true. I don't think many people, or I don't think enough people realize how much power we truly have in our words and in putting it down on paper. I recently worked with a client, actually prior to this call, she sent me pictures of her vision board that we worked on, because when I work with someone, I'm like, well, first of all, how can we start talking about the love you want to attract if you haven't really sat down and thought about it, especially if you've been off the market for many years? Yeah. And so it was really cool seeing her get excited about finding words and pictures that describe what she's looking for. So I am all about team vision board over here in She Day Savvy Land. So I love that. And I love that that's how part of your story really started. It's like you wrote it out and all of it came to pass. Now, question. Yeah, you put on there somewhere about being on a reality TV show looking for love. Because actually, before we get to that, tell the people a little bit about your love journey and story, because you mentioned one of the things that was on your board was to be married. You were married. You were eventually divorced. And so kind of talk to us about that and where you were on your single journey when you made that decision to actually join the cast of a reality show.
Yeah, so it's really funny. Back in the day, and I say back in the day because, I speak life, as to say, or minister a different way than I did before. But before I married my ex-husband, I was ministering around Houston and more so outside of the outskirts of Houston. I had a book at the time that I co-published with a friend from college called Super Singles Activate. And it was a compilation of testimonies of different women between the ages of 20 to 60, 65 years old who shared their stories of getting over heartbreak, and searching for love and their experiences. Because a lot of times we get into these relationships, we think they're the one, what I'm saying, and it ends up not being. And so I was going through a season of like, okay, God, when are you going to send me my husband? Because I had been in everybody's freaking wedding. Like, I was the maid of honor, bridesmaid, like everything. Yeah. And I just remember being, crying on my pillow. Like a lot of women, like, God, well, what's up with me? Like, when is it going to be my turn?
When's it going to be my turn? Yeah.
So that's what I included on that vision board as one of my asks towards God. And sure enough, I met my ex-husband at that time. We ended up getting engaged in that same year. And at that time he had a church. And now I didn't ask to marry a pastor.
Yeah, because that's a whole different kind of,
you gotta be
from God. Yeah.
But but you kind of attracts like you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I love the fact that he was a man of God. And so automatically I was like, oh, he's going to take care of my heart. I'm not going to have no problems. It's going to be and not stating that he didn't.
Sure.
However, we end up running into, our differences. One thing is he was 10 years older than me. And, being a first lady in a church, it has its challenges. And I think it's something you definitely have to be called to. And I was called to it in that season. But we ran into things that you'll hear me talk about on the show as they did in the intro. I felt like I was put on the back burner, a lot of times because he was trying to grow a church, you know. And then so I would say that, man, I feel like the church is your wife, and so you hear me kind of saying that, not to be negative about the church, but there's a lot of ministers and pastors' wives that deal with that. I mean, I remember me going to a conference and speaking about that with first ladies. And we got to speak in the room about our truth, how sometimes we feel alone. And so I think it was the issue of not feeling like a priority. Also, not really talking about expectations, in the way that you should. Sometimes when he'd been married before, I hadn't been married. So even when you see red flags or things going on, while you're dating, you think, and this is an immature way of thinking, because I was immature at the time, of, well, when we get married, it'll get better. It'll change. Here's the thing, ladies. What you see is what you get.
Yes, Lord. Yeah.
Being on this show reminded me, once again, what you see is what you get, and you need to follow your intuition. But at the same time, I am very grateful for my ex-husband. He gave me my child, our son, whom we love. God opened my womb to that, and I grew in that relationship. It was me that decided that that I wanted to go our separate ways.
Okay.
However, I did all that I thought was necessary, from counseling to really trying to work through the relationship to, decide if this is the decision that I wanted to make. And that's the decision I make. Sometimes you like, man, you think about, like, was it right? What was it not? But we here now. You know what I'm
We're
saying?
here, and there's nothing we can do about it. And
Yes,
like you said, you have your beautiful miracle,
exactly.
and your promise from God. And
Yep,
again, it's like, okay, put on your big girl panties,
right.
and it's time to keep it moving. And
Yep.
so you absolutely have done that. You continue with your career, you've done those things. And so then this opportunity comes. How did you find out about the show?
So actually, a friend of mine, I used to intern at Music World Entertainment, which at the time was Matthew Knowles, Beyonce, Destiny's Child, management company. And so a former coworker of mine sent it to me on Instagram. She's like, Alexis, I think your feisty personality would be great, for this show. I know you haven't been dating. I mean, I know that you got a divorce. You kind of been on a single tip and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, really, girl? I was like, so she's like, just try it out. And so I saw the flyer, whatever. I submitted my pictures, filled out the online application, and went on about my life.
Yeah.
So I thought, because literally about 2 hours later, after I submitted the application, I received a call from Hollywood. I remember looking at my phone. It was like Hollywood, California. I said,
right. You're like, who is this 310 or 320 number calling me? Yeah.
And sure enough, it was one of the producers, and we went through several producers, several interviews. It actually was a year process.
Wow.
Process January of 2020. We did not film until January of 2021 due to COVID.
Yeah.
And we were actually supposed to be on the resort as well. But we got pushed back. So they end up, shooting season 3 and then waited on us to shoot season 4 in 2021. But, I would have never thought or never imagined being on a reality show. I just went with the flow, on top of the fact that I was like, hey, I have been single for a while. Like, right. I may really find love on here. It's worth giving it a try. And so I did,
So for me, and I kind of shared a little bit of this with you before, whenever I see anyone I know going on any kind of a show, I'm like, no.
I already know why you're gonna say why.
Right? It's like, no, because I spent many years working in court, working in talk, and those were in and of itself forms of reality TV. And I just know how those shows operate. I know how those shows operate. I am a producer through and through all day long. There are days when my husband be like, don't try to produce me. And I'm like, oh. Because he knows. Like, there are certain things that are traits of a producer. And so when I see people I know and love, I'm like, oh, no, don't do it. Because I just know sometimes it is not going to, it's not going to end up the way, no matter what your intentions are when you go into it, it is not always going to end up that way. And I remember when the show first started, you made a post on Facebook and you're like, my real friends and family who know me know that this is not, because you saw, as I used to say back on the shows, you saw the trickeration that had already occurred when the promos start airing and when it's put together, because again, people don't realize the cast doesn't get to see any of this stuff. Y'all watch it in real time with us.
Thank you. Yes.
They watch it in real time. So they don't know how they're going to be portrayed, perceived, or anything else until it actually comes out. And so when you thought about, again, application, submitting your pictures, getting the calls, going the whole year process, what was your true and genuine thoughts about going on the show when it first started? When you first started the process?
When I first started the process, walking into, the mansion mixer, let me just say, I actually was nervous as heck, but I really thought that, man, I may walk out of here with maybe not a husband, but a boyfriend, a committed relationship that could lead to that. The journey, but I think that what was challenging for me for the journey is that we had to date a lot of people at one time. So off top, I was like, ooh, this is going to be difficult for me. And I remember the producers, us having that conversation. They was like, Alexis, now, we know, because I had said this in my interview, like, I don't do that whole multi-dating. I never have. Usually when I'm dating somebody, I'm set on that person. That's the only person I talk to. And they were like, Alexis.
It's a competition. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they were like, Alexis, this is a competition. First and foremost, if you don't get out here, if you come here being shy and don't come in here with this swag that we know that you have or whatever, you're gonna get the boot. And my thing is, man, I took a leap of faith. This was a good process to do this. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm in it to win it. And that's why you hear me say, and I've said this on other interviews, I went hard in the paint, as we say here in Houston, Texas, meaning that I was gonna put my all into it, Tara. Like, I was just gonna really like try this thing out, do something I've never done before. And you know what? Be vulnerable on camera, show insecurities, exhibit real life that women actually experience. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I did, and I did it without hesitation. At first, when you have the cameras in your face, it's nerve-wracking because you're not used to cameras. Look, I'm used to being behind the camera.
Right.
Not a camera in my face or following me everywhere I go. Yeah. So at first it was just kind of like, woo. But after a while, after you get used to it, you forget the cameras are there and you just be you and do you. And my thing was, this was my thought the whole process, that somebody somewhere will be able to relate to my character, my story, and my storyline. Whether, because I tell people that people project on you what they haven't necessarily reconciled in themselves. So if you look at my story, you're either looking at it because you can relate to something that I've done, that I said, or you can, whether you like it or don't like it, or you can relate to me in terms of somebody else who acted that way or responded that way, whether you liked it or you didn't. And so the bottom line is my whole position was, hopefully, who I am in this story of reality TV Ready to Love, somebody will be able, to get something from it, but at the same time, my desire, my goal was
to get you one.
Man,
right. To get you one.
Right. So but that wasn't my story.
Yeah. So, and we're going to get to that. So you get in.
Yeah.
Of course, the process, like you said, it's nerve-wracking because you realize very quickly it's not just, me one-on-one. It is multiple people. And it is a competition because it's not just me with all the men. It's me, all the men, and all the girls. It's a lot of stuff. When you originally came in, you had your eye on Jason because you knew him from Son, right? You're like, okay, I knew him from my son.
Right.
That kind of quickly fizzed out because I don't think he could cross that line.
He couldn't cross that line. And to be quite honest, like, I went to him first. So I left this out. When I came in, I was the last lady to come in, and I had a short amount of time to get around the room. I don't know if that was done purposely or whatever. So it's funny to have made this far because I was the last one. So I had to hurry up and meet everybody. And because I knew him, not even knowing he was going to be on the show, I was comfortable going straight to him because, again, you had to realize that I wasn't comfortable talking to all of these men, but I knew I had to do it. So I started with the person that I already knew. And so my conversation with him off the bat, it's not like this was our first time talking. You know what I'm saying? Okay. He was not aware of, hey, I thought X, Y, and Z and da, 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 da. So it was easy for us to have that conversation. It wasn't that I was trying to put all my cards on the table, but it was easy to put cards on the table. You know what I'm saying?
Because you're like, that's a familiar card. Let me put mine.
I know him. Right.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. And then, so that doesn't progress. It doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. And then there becomes this time where AJ is now in the mix. There's AJ and there's Ron in the mix. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, I really thought that you and Ron, I thought that was going to go somewhere. Because I don't know. It's like y'all had energy, y'all had things. Now, I understand why it did not go anywhere. Right. Once I heard, first of all, you being a woman of faith.
Yeah.
And then kind of hearing his very much like, it wasn't the same. It was not equally yoked. How about that? I'll just say it like that. It was not equally yoked. And so to hear him have his conversations about dating and relationships, and I'm like, nah. And in God, I'm like, this ain't gonna work. Right. Yeah. So and then of course that last conversation where he was like, I thought you were smarter than that. Like, he came out very condescending. Yeah. There were some things, but what were your feelings about Ron? Did you think that it was going to go somewhere, or what were your thoughts on that one?
Absolutely, I did. Here's the thing, not initially, because initially Ron and I, we are polar opposites. And so the challenge for Nephew Tommy was to step outside the box and talk to somebody who you would not normally talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Ron was not somebody I would normally talk to. We didn't even speak at the mixer. We didn't start talking into the brunch. And it was really because we were all leaving the brunch and then we were all exchanging numbers. And what I ended up finding out, he ended up calling me that night. And I remember looking at my phone like, Ron, like
who's that? He's calling.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. And everybody knows I go to sleep early, honey. So this was about 8, 9 o'clock. I'm a whole grandma. So I was just like, bro, I'm about to call you tomorrow. But I was like, we're in the show, we're in the process. Mm-hmm. Alexis, get yourself together. Mm-hmm. So I answered the phone. We ended up being on the phone for about 3 hours, which was really surprising to me. Yeah, we talked about everything, and faith was something that we talked about, but we didn't dig deep into it on the conversation. And so he had told me how this is what got me, sis. He told me how he had, researched me, and he had been on my Instagram. He checked out my videos, in terms of, because at that time I had a show with my best friend called Thirst Trap Thursday. Mm-hmm. And so, that was reeling me in, like, wow, he's researched me. He's investigating me. He's interested. Like no other guy, even though this is only a couple of days, has done it. And then we had a mutual friend as well. And so he had me then, because at that point, I'm looking at more than just say looks and it's more to you that I want to learn about. And, maybe this can really work. And I like the fact that, yes, the man is interested in me. It's not the opposite of me trying to chase him and trying to get him to say, see me, look at me. I've done that, been there, down that road. And I'm not here for that, because my understanding was this experience was an experience where we were all here for the same thing. And that's to walk out of here in a committed relationship, or at least find the one. And so, as you would later find out, it definitely was a difficult decision for me to, make the decision, like, are we really going to work? I think, the religion thing or the faith thing, I don't even say religion because I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. I mean, I have a relationship with Christ, as to say. For me, the main thing, and it wasn't that I don't think Ron didn't believe in God, but we were not on the same level in terms of, dude, are you at least open to like attend church? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying go to church every single day. I don't even do that. But to me, it was going to be too hard to feel like, I'm raising somebody in the faith or trying to, I didn't want to do all of that.
And it felt like he was going to possibly throw your faith in your face.
Oh,
you know what I mean? That whole like, oh, there she go praying again, or I'm not all about all that praying and stuff. Because I think he made a point about like, I'm not all about that. I just make stuff happen. And it's like, well, sometimes you do have to you need to stop and pause and really listen to God. Like, so that one, I was like, when I kind of started hearing, I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work.
What really got me is when he met one of my exes, and he said, he made the statement, "You look like a dude dripping in religion."
Yeah, I was that done. One.
Because that's when I began to see, kind of the condescending type of personality, the jab that I didn't like that, because what they edited out was JoJo actually talking about the lifestyle that he was living before he entered the church, and how he wasn't in the church and things like that, and how I was still riding with him. You know what I'm saying? And so, I just didn't like that. And I took a mental note, and that kind of set me back, and I was just like, "Woo, child."
No, that was definitely a big turnoff. Even like for me, I'm like, nope, next. Yeah. So then, there's Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome, Mr. AJ.
Mr. AJ, who I called on the show Chocolate Drip. Yeah.
Well, and you know what's crazy? When I look, I'm like, AJ straight up reminded me of someone I used to date. So I was already like, and I can. So here's the thing. So for me, I was like, but what was your first impression and reaction to AJ? And then, and even to the statement that you made, like, you seem like the kind of person that would, like, you could break my heart. Like, if I let you in, you could really. So talk about that.
So it's funny you said that. I don't know if y'all paid attention. During some of the first promos they ran, there was a clip that it was me talking to AJ, which they did not air this date that we had. I wish they did, because it was actually an emotional date. I cried, he was crying.
Oh wow.
And yeah, they never showed it. But it literally, I was saying, you're the type of man that would break my heart. Those are the exact words that I said. So the fact that you said that is crazy, because it was a knowing that I had, but I wanted to be able to push through the process, even though my mind was like, I don't know. What attracted me to him was, yes, I think he's good looking. I think he's attractive. The other part was he was very charming. He is charming. He's very charismatic. You know what I'm saying? He knows what to say, how to say it. And I was feeling all of that. You know, what woman wouldn't? You know what I'm saying? Like, he was saying all the things that I wanted to hear in a space of me trying to find love, you know? And I fell for it, as to say.
So now here's the thing, like you just said, on the show, there was one way that it came across. It very much so came across like there was something between you guys, but that with him, it was always him and Kyra and that that relationship. And so it was always kind of, again, the way that it was portrayed on TV, you kind of from the outside kind of coming in, again, still having, there's some interest there, because we saw you guys together. We saw the kiss, we saw those things. But again, from the outside in, it always looked like Kyra was his front runner.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about what that energy felt like, literally competing for love. Like, because
well, looking at it, it was different from my experience when I journeyed with him, because the way that it was edited, I guess it's coming from a TV producer, it was a better storyline, especially because they had dated before, the whole El Cheapo, exactly. So they decided to focus on that and not show our storyline, which a lot of people don't know, and I think AJ probably have shared it, you know, on maybe his interviews. But we went on 8 to 9 dates. Y'all only saw 2. Yes, ma'am.
Hold on.
You only saw the candle date, that day, and then you only saw the kiss, I think, with that was it.
Okay, because now, you know, one of the questions I'm gonna get to is, Alexis, the man picked the other woman. What you mean you went out with him for your birthday?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Wait, 8 or 9 dates?
Yes, ma'am. And then we dated off camera as well. So that's where the connection built. So you'll hear Nephew Tommy say at the reunion, he's like, it seems like y'all had just this great connection. What is it? Yes, but it's the connection that the audience didn't see. So it's hard for the audience to buy that there was Alexis and AJ thing going on, because y'all just didn't see it.
I hope those people who are in the group are watching, because they have some questions, and I am going to ask some of their questions. But we only get to see what we get to see. And when people, again, because it becomes kind of cliche where it's like the way I'm portrayed on this show, and I wish, you know, and so
like to hear that.
And so being able to have that conversation. Now, one thing I do want to say, because I teach the ladies, now I teach the girls how to flirt. However, there were some times where I was like, did Alexis say that?
That you were cringing about the candle date. Yes. Well, it's so funny. I was cringing about it. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing. Yes, it was a form of flirtation, but it was a lot of puns put together. Okay. They was having fun with the puns. Like, I don't want to repeat, because I feel like if you paid attention, even when we got to the macaroni thing, they turned that into something that was sexual, and it wasn't. It was really me saying the freaking mac and cheese is moist. Why is everything now that I'm saying is coming across as whatever? That was purposely done. The bottom line is the show needs to have a sex symbol. For whatever reason, they chose Alexis to be that sex symbol. Nothing about me per se is a sex symbol. You know what I'm saying? It's funny. If I were to be quite honest with you, my ex-husband probably been like, she needs to put it down a little bit more, you know, when we was married. I was the girl with the purity ring, honey. When I got to college, I didn't even do any of that until I was in my 20s, and it was with a man that actually proposed to me, and God rest his soul, he's no longer here with us. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to being sexually aggressive, no, that's not me. I remember my friends calling me like, oh my God, why did they portray you like that? And I said, because I opened my mouth trying to be funny, being fed a line even from the producer to say, Alexis, say something about the wax, because after we started going, it was funny, and I was feeding off the energy that AJ was giving me that y'all didn't see. AJ is flirty. Again,
I can believe it. The shot we get is him looking at you like.
Yeah, and call myself being funny. It it's like it didn't come across the way that I was expecting for it to come across. And what made me sad about it was the fact that, so did we just gonna show this piece of the whole date? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But again, it made for good TV. You know, I'm just gonna own that ish. It is what it is. But I ain't.
Now, did your mom see it? Did your mom see it? What did she say?
Oh no.
Your mom didn't see it? Okay.
No. See it, you know. So now I look back at it and I'll just laugh at it, because this is where it comes to knowing who you are, being secure in you. And everybody, when you're on a reality show, you're gonna be in the people's court. You know what I'm saying? Man. And at the end of the day, yes, it's a reality show, but it's not full reality, as to say. You know what I'm saying? They can't. You know, we say what we say and they use what we say. Mm-hmm. Bottom line, that's the truth. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm just gonna say this, y'all. I ain't no garden tool. You know what I'm saying? I ain't around here bouncing around. But people are gonna believe and think what they want to believe. And so I really don't speak on it that much, because once people have their opinions about you, is what it is. And I'm not one to just go and try to change your opinion. You know, bottom line is, the network wants to make good television. Sure. And they knew that my feistiness, my personality, and my willingness to be extra, or say and be honest and be me, that would help carry the show.
I'm so happy you cleared that up, because again, like I told you, so coming from a TV standpoint, I'm like, well, I can only show what you give me. I can only show what you give me. And so absolutely, it did seem, there were times where it's like, again, I'm like, oh God.
Because it was funny. They actually, one of the producers actually asked AJ to say something about the wax on, wax off, or whatever, but his butt was smart enough not to say it. You know, meanwhile, I'm over here like,
I'll say it. Yeah. So that makes perfect sense. So you guys go to now the go away trip, right? So where you guys are really trying to figure out, okay, who's going home with who,
right?
And we see now you and AJ really getting closer, really getting closer. Tell me what happened, because there was a lot of stuff that happened during that little trip, that little getaway. There was like the Judas comment, which is TV gold to me. You were Judas.
All the views on that juice, I was like, y'all really? We got to talk about. Let me just clear that up. Me and Amber, that's my girl. We are good. We are so good, and that's all I got to say.
Okay, perfect. So that part alone, again, because you know those moments will live in TV history for in perpetuity. Like they just gonna be out there. So you're on these. You're at the ranch. With everybody. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, okay, it's do or die time.
Yeah, because this is at the end now. Like
at the end. Yeah, we're getting ready. You got to make a decision. Yeah. What's going through your mind about your connection with AJ? And now, again, like you said, we didn't know y'all had all these 8 or 9 dates off camera throughout the season. Mm-hmm. What were you kind of going into it feeling like, okay, I got this. I'm feeling confident. Or what was your mindset?
I was kind of in between, because going into the ranch, you know, right before I went into the ranch, I had, you know, got information, you know, about, well, obviously you had saw the elimination with Ron. So then I got this information about Amber, and then I could not speak on it because the producers wanted me to wait, you know, to speak to her about it. I would have picked up the phone and been like, girl, what's up? I just got this information. But because they wanted the viewers to see it.
Sure.
I had to hold it. So I had held it for a couple of days, couldn't talk to her, let her know, based off of the request. So we got to the ranch, and then I had been trying to call AJ. Now, mind you, all the guys, all the girls, we pretty much all talk to each other every day, right? And him and I had, you know, talked often because we had a connection and we were dating. But right the day before going to the ranch, I had reached out to him, didn't hear from him, whatever. I'm like, this is really strange. Like, what's going on? I was like, well, I'll just see him when we get there. So I had the Amber thing on my mind. I had the thing like, what's up with AJ? Why I ain't heard from him? And then I started to feel like, you know, honestly, I started thinking about self-elimination, because the thing with me and AJ, I felt like it was one day he was clear on what he wanted. Then the next day it was something different, or 2 days later, you know, and you hear a lot of the cast members talk about, you know, one day somebody could be your number one, then they could be your, just depends on what y'all talked about that day. So it's just a lot of wishy-washy for me. And coming onto a show like this, having been married before or whatever, it was just kind of like, I knew I had made my decision Why is it so much back and forth? Why is it so hard to know what you want at this point? You know?
And you had made your decision that AJ was your guy?
Yes, and he knew. We had talked about it. He was fully aware.
Got it.
I was in it. And on a date that y'all didn't see, he had said to me, I see us going to the end together. So I'm like, yo, we good. But with those little changes, subtle changes, I'm like, maybe we not. So when I got to the ranch, I was heavy. Okay. Even when we was at the ranch, the producers wouldn't let me talk to Amber up front. I had to wait, you know, so I couldn't get that out. Right. And then when he first came in, his focus was, yes, it was Kyra. He hadn't really been talking to me or whatever. I said, man, what is going on? And then, you know, I'm talking to Liz about it. A couple of the other cases. I said, whatever, you know what? This is the ranch. We're just going to have a good time. Whatever it's going to be is what it's going to be. But then eventually, you know, they didn't really show us on the ranch too much. You didn't see us into the tower. We were, you know, we began to, you know, talk more and things like that. Even, you know, Vernisha, you know, Amber, all them like, man, I see, you know, I really see what's going on with y'all. So, you know, I'm thinking, okay,
yeah,
we're good. Like, this is probably going to go in my favor, whatever. Again, mind you, I don't see what he's doing, you know, on the ranch with Kyra. I don't see any of that. Okay. So keep in mind, I can only go off of what he's telling me and what my experience is. So whatever the case, next thing you know, they telling us to pack up. Y'all getting ready to go home. I'm like, okay, you know, ain't going to be no elimination, you know, whatever. But then all of a sudden, everybody going home and I'm still in the room. And I'm like, and I'm calling people, nobody answering their phone. And then I call again. And then they're like, oh, Alexis, we left, whatever. And so that's when I kind of realized, oh my gosh, am I getting ready to get eliminated or what's getting ready to happen?
Right.
So long story short, they start micing me up.
Oh my God.
I go, so as you can see, I don't have even the right clothes on because I was just threw on some stuff.
Yeah, you were like very casual.
Yeah. Because I'm throwing on some stuff to get up in my car and take this 90-minute, because we were in Brenham, take this 90-minute trip back to Houston. So I'm walking outside. I see him, you know, it's this table.
Oh God.
And I'm like, oh boy. So
ain't this some, yeah. Oh
no. You know, but I had decided in that moment, whatever this is gonna be, you know, it's okay. It's fine. And you know, it's been a nice ride or whatever. So he said what he had to say. You know, I gave him a hug. I was like, hey, I got to get back to my baby because at this point in time, it's really late at night. I got a 90-minute drive back in the door, you know. And he texted me. He was like, Alexis, you know, I know you don't want to talk to me right now.
No, I don't.
He was feeling really actually sad about it. But I respect him. I texted him back. He's like, just please let me know you made it home safe. You know, I let him know. And then we didn't talk at all because at that point I was in my feelings. I didn't know anything. And so at this point, I'm not knowing what the conversation was with Kyra.
Yes.
You know, I don't know.
When did you find out what that conversation was? Because again, for us at home, what we see is him saying, you're not ready to love to Kyra. And then it being like, okay. And then they holding hands and he's like, but I don't want to let you go. And then she's like, but I'm changing my mind. So that's what we see.
Yeah. When I saw that,
did you find out about all of that?
I didn't find out about it until, because like I said, we didn't talk. So it wasn't until he took me on my date, on my birthday date, that he asked me out on. Let's be clear.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's back it up. Yeah. These things are so funny. Okay, so because the way it was portrayed and even the way it came out, you reached out for your birthday. Did you? Yeah. How did that go? Just so it.
That was the edited bit because I know I said birthday week. So let me clear that up. It wasn't my exact. It was not on my birthday. I didn't call that man on my birthday to be like I did not. So it was, what people understand is that when I left the show that week, like it was on my birthday was coming up in the next few days. What you don't hear actually is something he said when I was actually leaving. And he was wrapping the whole elimination thing up. He was like, you know, Alexis, I know your birthday's coming up. You know, we should I said, no, I don't know about all that. You know what I'm saying? Because boy, you give me the boot. What you talking about? So
right. Leave me alone.
Yeah, leave me alone. So what people have to understand, people want to know, well, Alexis, why did you reach back out to him? Because like any other woman, and maybe not every woman, but this one right here, again, owning my stuff, is I wanted closure because I could not understand what happened here. Like I thought we were getting ready to close the deal, seal the deal. Next thing I know, I'm eliminated. So there's no explanation besides what he gave me. You know, the whole, I think I can't be the man you want me to be and all this kind of stuff. And then we didn't talk after that. So as you go home and you're decompressing from this, you're starting to think back about the things that were said to you, you know, how he made you feel. And I didn't get any closure or understanding of why did you change your mind? Like what happened? And I believe, like, I feel like I deserve that, you know, based off of our connection. And so I reached out to him, and then he ended up DMing me back. And then because I asked him, I said, hey, I just need to know this for me, for my peace of mind. Was our connection real, or was you just doing this for TV? Like, do you mean any of this, or like just trying to keep me around, like to make it to the end? Like, I straight up need to know. And he responded back to me and he said, Alexis, no, everything that I felt that I said was real. You know, I wasn't playing with your feelings, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then he moved on to say, and he said, and I know your birthday is such and such, and I would really like to, I would love to spend time with you on your birthday. And that's when I said that my heart kind of like melted a little bit, because it went from being hardened because my feelings were hurt. And not that I had a broken heart, but I just felt like, dang, that just kind of really hurt my feelings. And so I said, sure. And some cast members had already been invited. They were coming. I didn't invite him for obvious reasons. And so I told him where we were going to be, and he came.
Wait, it wasn't just this like intimate one-on-one date?
Oh, so I'm going to tell you about that.
Okay, because
that was second time. So on my birthday dinner.
Because you had a whole week of birthday. You had a birthday week. So, okay.
So I had a dinner. Some of my castmates were there and all that kind of stuff. And then after that, we went to like an after party. He showed up to the after party part. As he was walking me to my vehicle, he asked me then, he was like, Alexis, I would really like to take you out on a date, a one-on-one birthday date. Would you be open to that? And I said, yes. And so that's when we went on the date after that. And so from then on, it basically was like, okay, you know, you probably gonna laugh or feel happy about this. And not that I was, but he was just like, you know, I left the show and I left as a single man, like Kyra didn't choose me or whatever. And I'm like, what? So
you didn't know that part. Yeah.
I didn't know. So I was just like, it was weird to me, because I'm like, see, now I had told you I was ready, you know what I'm saying? And then it just was like that. I wasn't even expecting that at that point. And so from how I viewed it, or how it was received with me, with the time that we had spent, and we spent time after that, days after that, it was just kind of like, okay, we're going to try this out. Now it's no cameras. There's no extra pressure. You single, you didn't come out of a committed relationship. We're going to try this out. Well, then, you know, I was going to have that cake and eat it too.
Sure. And so in hindsight, and then of course, like I said, seeing all the pieces and parts, because you're literally, y'all, she's giving us, as they would say, like the inside baseball, like you're giving us the part that we don't get to see. And that's why a lot of people have problems with reality TV, because it ain't really real, because it's not all of the
Tara. Can you repeat that, please?
Because it's not really real, guys, because you're not getting it in real time, and you're not getting it from all angles. You're getting,
and this, y'all, is coming from a reality TV producer.
Yeah, like, I mean, listen, because it got to get cut down. Like, I mean, we would be in the courtroom. A great case could go 40 minutes, but when it's all said and done for a 30-minute show, I think you got 22 minutes of content, and that's like 16 minutes because you got to do bumps and intros and all. Like, it literally is a little bit of time from that 45 minutes. So things are going to get cut down.
And what do they ask you? What do they ask you? Where's the conflict?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this was one of the things that I told Alexis to say, because she's like, well, I just thought I was going to go on the show and find love. I'm like, not so much. Not so much. Because here's the thing. When you work in those shows, it is, where's the conflict? Because if you think about, as a viewer, y'all, when you watch a show, nobody is watching stuff that is just kumbaya. Like, that's cute. And I'll be very honest. And if we were to be super frank, when the OWN network first started, I did a show on OWN. I worked on a show with Susie Orman on
I didn't
OWN
even know that. Wow.
years ago. And I mean, I've been an OWN writer. And here's the thing, it was a very positive network. Yeah. It was a positive network that had to change quickly. Yeah. Had to change quickly. The programming from back then, which would have been 2010-ish, and the programming now night and day, because
Wow.
yes, those were things that, and I ride hard for the own brand, like take this the
Absolutely.
right way, like Miss Oprah, you can call me any day.
Yeah.
But I just want to be very honest and say the uplift, it's different. So
Right.
even if it is a churchy type of feel, it's still gonna have some kind of
Yep.
conflict
Some
to it.
kind of conflict.
And
Yeah.
that's the part that I think a lot of people don't get. And again, even for you, yes, you worked in TV, but
Yep.
a different kind of TV. So it's
Thank you. And so I want to talk about that because
yeah,
you have some people saying, "Oh, Alexis is a TV producer and she's in entertainment. She worked with the producers, baby. If I worked with the producers, my storyline wouldn't have been what it was." People ask me, they say, "Alexis, would you do it again?" Not if I don't have any kind of creative,
yeah, creative control.
participation,
Yeah.
control over it, because it was kind of like, God, y'all got me out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These people gonna be thinking I'm this way or whatever, and then I just had to get to the place where I'm past what people think in their opinion, because the people that are watching don't really know me and the
Yeah.
core of me, and I just accepted that and I've moved on from it. But I am a lifestyle, okay, and community service TV producer
Yeah.
for 8 years at a news station. I am not good at being a master manipulator of framing stories in a way to create a character. And really, my character, if you were to say what was your character, Alexis, it was supposed to be this sexy first lady, character who is what I would like to say is balanced. But people want to do that. If you say, "Oh, you believe in the Lord," people want to be like, but she do this, but she do that. They want to give you that. And here's the thing, I'm not perfect in any kind of way. You know what I'm saying? I am a spiritual being living a human existence. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I love the Lord. He heard my cry, but I'm also gonna sip my Jesus juice and my wine, or go to the lounge and hang out with my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's
it's
balance
for me. Like, I'm definitely not, quote unquote, the holy roller.
Yeah.
But I like to get my worship on, and I know the core of who my being is, and that's what I focus on and keep my mind on.
How did when we think about your image, like
Yeah.
how do you think being on this show maybe changed your image?
Yeah.
I won't say tarnished, because I think that's a strong word.
Right.
But how do you think it changed your image to those who matter? Because there are a lot of people out there with opinions, but to
Right.
those who matter, have there been any people who said,
Actually, no, to those who matter and who know me, they know me and they understand that this is entertainment and that is television. And here's the thing, all things work together for the good, Romans 8:28. So
yeah,
whether
they
it's
do.
good, bad, or in between, all of this, including me being on the show, what was said, what was edited, what was not said, was purposeful. You
Yeah,
understand what I'm
because
saying?
they know your name.
Exactly. Oh, they know my name. It's branded out there. Whether you like Alexis Fly or not, it's out there. You know the name, right? And the bottom line is, I'm called and assigned to a certain group of people. And there have been very many women who have DM'd me, who have said, especially with, when I exited, what the Holy Spirit gave me to speak and how that blessed them. And I said, God, if that was the only reason that I was supposed to be on this show, to deliver that one line, because I said more than that, that's just what they decided to keep. Then I've done what it was that I was supposed to do, and I'm okay with that. So no, I'm not worried about my image being tarnished and all that kind of stuff, because you know what? I'm made in God's image. I know who I am and whose I am. And I know at the end of the day that people were touched, and the people who weren't, I'm just not for them.
Yeah. And you when you talk about that exit, that was classy. Like, it was the classiest, because I will be honest, I still got some table turns in me. And so I probably would have, had to rise up, because again, not only just knowing what we had just seen, where this dude was straight up telling her, okay, bye. And then I'm changing my mind. And then I'm like, what? So absolutely.
That's funny to me, because a lot of people like, he didn't choose you. He didn't choose you. Why would you? And it's like, but y'all, he did choose me. He changed his mind.
He changed his mind.
I feel like I need to understand why. I need
to. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, and so anyway.
So what's going on with you now, sugar?
Let me tell you something, sis. The best is yet to come. I'm peaceful. I'm happy. I'm in a space that I'm going back to my first love.
Okay.
And my first love is God. You know what I'm saying? And really, like I said on the show, doing a lot of introspection, understanding the value that is of me, and not just a diamond, but the value of being a ruby. And just getting back focused with that. I have, what some people have already seen, started a t-shirt line and merchandise, which says, y'all see that, it says, woo, this way. First love yourself, which is now what fly means, because coming off of this show, fly is no longer about just the fashion, which the fashion obviously is still there. I'm into wardrobe and clothing and all that kind of stuff.
I love that.
But it allowed me to really see, you know, the lesson that I was supposed to learn out of this. And it is, girlfriend and girlfriends watching, men too.
Yes.
Love yourself.
Love yourself, because that's so. Alexis, how can they order the t-shirts?
Yeah, so you can go to thealexisfly.com, and click under merchandise. It's there. It's ready. I'm ready to send it to you. Give it to your mama, your sister, your aunt, your daughter, your niece, your cousins. I'm going to be doing some stuff for teens, because when it comes to teenagers and girls in particular, we need to be teaching them, how to love themselves first, how to value themselves first before a man. You don't need a man to validate you. Yeah. And I think that's a struggle that you saw me going through even on the show, because they love to edit the whole number one, but I was always trying to search for the intention and the heart of the man, because I didn't want to waste my time. I've said on another interview, are we ready to love or ready to play? I wasn't there to play. So you see me being very outspoken, very upfront about me needing to know, where do I stand in this, because it was too much wishy-washy for me. But I want women and even, teenage women, to be able to, stand in their own grace and their own beauty before they get to the place of where we are in dating, And so I have that. Then I also have, from the TV producer side, Dear Black Son.
Yes. Tell everybody about this.
Yeah, Dear Black Son. It started off as a short poetic film that I executive produced, and that actually aired on the CBS network during the March on Washington on last year. So I'm really excited about that. But that really came from initially me thinking about my son and him growing up, and like, what are the conversations as a Black single mother and just as a Black mother period that I'm going to have with him, that in terms of not wearing a hoodie, or what do you do when a police officer pulls you over, because these are what our little Black boys and even Black girls, we have to have those conversations. Other races don't have to have those conversations. And, in 2020, when we begin to deal with, Ahmaud, the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, and then George Floyd, Dear Black Son was actually birthed out of Ahmaud Arbery's death. And so it started off with me coming up with this idea of putting my line sisters together and us doing a jog in the park. And then God was like, nah, you're doing more than a jog. You about to have the gift of producing, and we're going to create a film and that's why you see 223, because that's the day we ran 2 miles and 220, and that far for him and his name, and that's the day that he passed away. But you're going to make this film, and you're going to talk about your fears and your concerns about the son and what he needs to do to try to protect himself, if he could and if he can. And so that started off as a film. You definitely can watch it. Y'all can go on my Instagram, or if you go to Dear Black, BLK, which stands for Black Liberating Kings, dearblackson.org, to watch the video and learn more information. And then it has now become what I'm working on as a 501c3, a nonprofit, because
I love that.
Yes, my hope and my goal is to create a program and a curriculum where we're teaching young boys about, their African American heritage and culture at a young age, because really I didn't really learn about who I was and what I come from until I attended the HBCU, and I think that's too late to learn that, so that's what I'm hoping to do. But it's also collective. So any other artists, producers, anybody in the performing or visual arts, can create their own content. And I want to make a collective for it to be able to share other people's stories, documentaries, et cetera, et cetera. So
I love it. Y'all see, she is a busy lady, busy career lady and professional. And I know you said, as far as with the love, you're going back to your first love.
Yeah, I'm taking a break from dating. Eventually when I'm ready to reopen myself up to that, I'm going to be reaching out to you.
Oh, I was about to say, you know,
honey, and you can match make. I think one of the things, with this show, and this is just my opinion, Will Packer, don't get mad at me, but We're Ready to Love is that I think you kind of go into that show, and what we did was kind of pick the same thing we always pick, you know what I'm saying, or revert back to. And I think maybe they might need to add a therapist, to it, kind of what they do with put a ring on it to kind of help you navigate to stay away from some things that you are constantly attracted to.
You hit it right on the head. I don't just help ladies. Like when I work with ladies one-on-one, I coach holistically.
Yeah.
So you heard me talk about with that client, we're doing a vision board because I got to have your mind on the right things
right
to even get you ready and poised for what happens when we go online. Because if you're not mentally where you need to be and ready where you need to be, nothing that I find for you is going to matter. And so I think that definitely is something. And I think the line becomes the competition side of it. Like, I think that when you make a competition, by design, humans are going to react in a way that isn't always just authentic, right?
Yes.
Where it's like, oh, hey, it's nice to meet you, but it's like, oh, but I gotta win. You put that win element and aspect in it, and you find yourself in a situation where, it's like, I don't know how sincere this is because I'm competitive in the mug. So even if I don't like somebody, I'm probably going to be competing because I want to win,
Right.
And I think that's what it boils down to when we look at these shows.
Well, it's not worth winning, if your heart is going to be affected. One thing I could say that was definitely real about the show, and I can speak, for most of the people, cast members, that our emotions were real. What we felt, what we experienced, that part was 110%. And so you have to, when you look at these shows, look at you got to look at yourself. Have I done that before? Have I been there before? Before we make all of these judgments, and I mean, obviously reality TV is for you to do that, but just, consider. And I think one of the things that I've learned just on my own coming out of this is to have grace, man. Have grace for other people and don't be quick to judge, man. And so I've back on that.
That's real.
Yeah, that's real, because the same grace that you don't give somebody else, you're going to eventually need.
You're going to need it yourself. Absolutely. And on that note, we are going to wrap up. I thank you so much for making time to be here with me this evening, for clearing the air, for putting your side of her whole side of the story out there. Because as you all see, reality TV is not always what you see on TV. There's always so much more behind the scenes, as you hear people talking about on the cutting room floor. So thank you for showing up tonight and sharing your story. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know you guys will go back and watch the replay. If you want to reach out to Alexis, her website is www.thealexisfly.com. You can go there and get her shirt. You can find out about her Dear Black Son project as well. Follow her on Instagram and keep up with her and all that she has going on. Thank you so much, love.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you. And thank you for everybody for tuning in, and for all the supporters, the fans, for making us the #1 hit show on Fridays. I appreciate you. I appreciate the love and everything else in between it. So thank you. And that's all I got to say. Thank you, Tara.
All righty, love. Good night, y'all.
Good night.